So maybe I can start by introducing myself. Maybe Eddie, I'll pass it to you very quickly.
How about telling us a little about yourself, Nuno?
Let's do that. Oh, you're okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So I work in consulting, in management consulting. I work in a company called EY, and we focus a lot on Web3 projects, on new tech, new emerging technologies, and I'm responsible for everything that just is Web3 in our projects.
Okay. Cool. And you, Eddie?
Yeah, so Eddie Satterly, the CTO of OneOf. We were previously a B2C NFT marketplace, and now are building an enterprise solution with a one platform solution and one wallet, so we can make it easy to onboard the next billion or so non-crypto natives.
The next billion. The next billion. Got it. Cool. All right. So Nuno, we've got time, so I'm gonna lounge into this role a little bit, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
How did you get into Web3? I love this question. So your answer better be great.
I don't think it's that special. I mean, I personally, I was pretty interesting when I discovered Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I never thought I could work on this, to be honest, in the beginning. I was just, I liked it. I was curious. I wanted to make some money. And all of a sudden, I talked one time in my company, and it just started picking up. And I realized that big companies, because we work for big companies, they were interested. So I just started talking with companies, and then we started supporting a lot of them.
What year was that?
This was 2016. 2017. We also bought a bunch of companies that do.
You were 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a goodish time.
Okay, cool. And so then you've been doing that ever since. So like you.
Yep.
And this is a funny thing, because a lot of times a number of people that I know have had this experience where we'll be the person at the organization that is crypto adjacent or whatever, and then suddenly they're calling on us, hey, why don't you tell us about this? And then the next thing you know, we're leading that part of the company.
It's very true. Like, so this is a pattern. You see that?
Huh?
You see these happening? Like this.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a model. I mean, like here in the future, right now, to tell you the truth, the parallel is going to be AI. So all of us that are working with AI, like it's just automatically like, oh, you're going to be our AI guy, our AI person. Yes, so that's what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So
how did you get there, Eddie?
Wait. Slow down.
I liked it.
Like your hair is great. Don't worry, you're
Thank
good.
you. Thanks so much.
Eddie, how did you get into Web3?
Well, interestingly enough, I kind of started on the Hyperledger DLT side on a government project when Hyperledger was brand new, with some guys from Intel quite a while ago. So that kind of began the progression of where we are now. So,
what year was that?
a long time ago.
In a galaxy. It sounded like some Project Ultra kind of thing.
2012. 2013.
2013. Okay, cool. Yeah, wow. And so you, like, what's the progression been like since then? Like, you've seen a lot go on since then.
Yeah. Well, so I've done a whole bunch of data security and data privacy with private chain work, and a whole lot of work in the identity space for the DID style identity, and that's how I ended up kind of at OneOf, building out that there.
So then, the talk is NFT use across sectors. So is there a specific point that you wanted to bring up on this topic?
I think the original idea we had was to show like innovative things we're seeing that are disrupting business models.
Presently,
or that we're seeing concepts of that can do that. And we're doing a round robin to ask those questions. We discussed a few on the call.
Okay, so you're going to give us some proprietary insight?
I can give you some examples.
We will accept.
But let's see if they're good. You're the judge of that.
Dun.
So let me tell you one thing. We're working on a client that I think is pretty interesting. We're working for a big consumer brand. They sell products in all the retailers online. And we're playing with the concept of creating an own currency so that the brand pays the distributors, the retail channels, the direct sales channels. So today, basically, if you want to distribute the product that is manufactured, you have to pay a distributor for a fee for distribution. You have to pay the retailer on last mile. You pay that with dollars, euros. You pay that with fiat. And basically, if you give those discounts back, the distributor or the retailers can use it anywhere. Like, it's money, right? We're playing with the concept of a circular ecosystem where we pay with our own token. We can pay more, or we can give a bigger discount because the money stays in the ecosystem and can be rebought by buying products of that brand. So in fact, I can give a 30-40% discount, which today I can't. With the margins that I have, I can give a 20% discount with fiat. I think that's a very interesting application on a supply chain of an industry, and is a very good application for a currency there's value on it.
Okay, so with that in mind, like give me a real world example using that model that you just created.
Yeah. So let me tell you one company. This is not the company. I have to give a lot of disclaimers when I do this, but let's say Coca-Cola, right? So Coca-Cola has a base of distributors, there's a base of retail, there's D2C. If Coca-Cola creates their own currency, today they give discounts on batch buys. So if you're, I don't know, Walmart, you will buy a batch of Coca-Cola, I'll give you 20% discount, big retailers. Tomorrow I can give you a 30% discount, but I'll give that discount in Coca-Cola coin. You can use that coin to rebuy the product from me. I make sure that you're going to rebuy the product from me, which is a loyalty or repurchase rate, and you can give more money because you don't have to reacquire the customer or you don't have to reprocess the discount. And so you basically create a circular economy. The retailer is incentivized to do that because they will buy more of the product. This is for big brands, and I'm incentivized to do it because I get the financials within my assets.
How do I get my currency out of that market?
Well, you can use market makers. Basically, we have to work with the supply and how it works on the tokenomics, but basically that will have a value that you can use in retail, that you can sell to other retailers or even consumers.
Because the first parallel I think about is the company store. You're familiar with the company store, right? That you may not be, but like, no. So back in the day, what we would do is we would employ people, and we would have them work for the company, and we'd pay them in company fiat, company currency, and then they would buy at the company store, and then they would, it became this, yeah, right. And but it was a great way to suppress and oppress people.
Yes, I
right?
understand
We were enabled to subjugate. And
I think if you make it mandatory, yes, but if you create a optional payout, and if you actually can create that leverage model that you can give 10-20% more, and you're just basically making sure that the repurchase stay there, you don't pay commissions on payment processors, you're creating value.
So that's a currency example. So how would NFTs fit into that sort of?
You could have the NFTs being representing each retailer or each party. You can have a model that you actually have NFTs for other kind of concessions. We didn't introduce that yet. We're playing with more of the economics of how this would work.
No, now that you mention it, it's an interesting idea because see, then a retailer or wholesaler would buy the NFT in order to be participating in that circle economy.
Precisely, yeah. You could have different models of eligibility, but that could be it. You could have tiers. You could accumulate.
I mean, this is relevant to anybody who does anything. We could all fit into something that we do. It could be even if we're an artist, or not even, but as an artist, we could do this exact same model. We could do the exact same thing. And so then any number of, like we all have our different connection to these kind of circle economies that we would create. We a lot of times we simply call them communities. And in fact, one of the artists that I know, Black Dave uses he has his own Black Dave money, and uses it for this thing. So like this is something that this is not a hypothetical. This is I mean, it's funny to say real world because I don't even know what that is anymore. It changes every 15 minutes or so, or 30 seconds, or whatever.
Yeah, the last thing on this is it makes it much easier to actually program differences too. So you could have different contracts, and each retailer would have their own type of deal. It could have conditional payouts, volume based, and you could do that completely via currency and put it in a smart contract. So it's pretty scalable. I think supply chains will have a very interesting application for own currencies and smart contracts.
Well, so in that model that you're creating, by the way, then all of a sudden there's all of the supportive elements of that model that would allow, like, there's all different ways to fit in because
Nuno.
You mentioned security. So then when imagine how important it would be to secure your Coca-Cola money, like to make sure that happens. So then there's going to be somebody who supports that, even as a third party, for gosh sakes.
Yep.
And then again, parallel this out, go out and do it in whatever field it applies to you. So that's a fantastic. Eddie, you've got it. What are you going to do now? Like that was really good.
Yeah,
I have another one after.
Well, since you went with the ERC20 one, I'll do the 721 one.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. All right.
So from our perspective, you look at the loyalty in the secondary marketplace side, right, is a kind of key to brands being able to do something very interesting in the space, no matter what the brand is. You've got the first part, which is a loyalty program where I'm rewarding you because you bought something or you posted something on social media or you gave me a review or whatever it is, right? And you've got that, and you reward them with badges, you reward them with levels, and then use those badges to token gate the ability to purchase or to purchase an item that's resellable, as well as giving one-off. So I'll give a great example in my life, right? So I have a airline loyalty program, and I am at a top tier status in that loyalty program, and all of my upgrades are complimentary.
Oh my God.
And then I collect a bunch of upgrades as rewards, which is the stupidest
Are you
thing
saying
could
that you
ever
are
do.
at that level?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, yeah. but they give me complimentary rewards or upgrades, and then the reward they give me is an upgrade. Now, what the hell am I going to do with that?
Right.
Like it's zero use to me, and they expire if I leave the program,
Yes.
or I don't hit the level again, they expire. So when the hell am I going to use them? And they're all complimentary at this point, so it does no good.
It's punishing.
Yeah, it makes you feel like they don't actually pay any attention to their own program.
Companies don't really care about us. Stop.
So see, we do the other thing, which is then you enable the secondary market. So you happen to get a, say, complimentary companion ticket or something, and I have a whole bunch of upgrades that I can't freaking use, and you don't want to fly with anybody because you don't like anybody enough to fly with them. We can then trade, or I can sell mine, you can sell yours, and we have a secondary place within members of the platform where you can actually get value out of the thing that they give me. Because right now, I mean, they expire every damn year, and I give back upgrade certificates that I've earned.
Okay, listen, I want to share something. This insight right here, there's a word that we use all the time, and it is consumers. And that word offends me because I am not here to serve in that capacity. But the way that Eddie is describing it it respects us, and we are engaged as customers, as people that provide value to the company. Pow, pow, pow. And I mean, anybody who travels and collects these rewards and goods, this is one of the most frustrating components of this. Back in the day, it made sense to collect our air miles, and now it's not even fun as a pastime. And this is so. Imagine some airline, Southwest, because they have that, like they kind of got a vibe, employing this sort of opportunity for flyers. Imagine how it would distinguish from say Southwest from the other airlines who are doing it in a way that we all know as Web 2. Like these I mean, NFT use across sectors. These are ways forward to succeed. This could be any industry that we're talking about. That's a great example.
So Eddie, can I try to further develop the concept?
Oh, you're gonna try one up him?
Yeah,
Oh, this is
no.
really good.
No. I want to understand.
Let's do it.
So let's take Southwest. That was the example. Hello.
Wait,
Hi, I'm Josh Lawler. I was told that this
Josh.
was a little bit later than this.
Please sit here.
thank you.
So, in your example, then let's take Southwest. You would basically have the rewards or each token that represents a reward on chain, and you would resell it in a market. I'm interested about an upgrade, I'll buy it. The incentives for the brands, I guess, is secondary revenue from the marketplace?
It could be if they decide to do that. I mean, not all brands would want to do it that way. Some would, some wouldn't. But the incentive for the brand is more engagement from their customer and more people using those so they're not sitting on their books. Because every one of those rewards they give someone sits on their books as value, right?
Yep.
So that gives you the ability to get people to exercise them. Because if I'm never going to use them, they'll eventually expire and they go off their books anyway. But if they don't, that whole time they're sitting there in my account, especially if I hit some mark where they all of a sudden let me don't expire this year,
Yep.
because I hit that top tier again, I still keep them. I mean, literally, you can look at my account now. I think there's 198 upgrades on my account. The last one redeemed was like in 2019, because that's when I hit the top tier again.
I
So,
mean,
like,
Nuno,
they're-
this is actually real. This is this specific example is fantastic because there's this magic word we used to use in terms of any project, a company project. See how Web3 I am, pros. Yeah, in terms of any company, and the magic word is loyalty. And we even call them loyalty points and things like this. But when we give customers, which is what we are, something that we're not going to use and we're not going to be able to have value, and well, what's the point then? Whose ego are we? It's not my ego. I'm not going to be able to use it. So it's somebody in an office somewhere that think this is a great idea by giving something that I'm not going to use. But by creating, we all know the value of engagement. Like, holy smokes. I can imagine, okay, take this example and apply it to video games. Video games is one of the most noxious industries. Anybody play video games in here? Anybody been exploited by a video game before?
I was playing 10 minutes ago. That's why I was like,
Oh yeah, that
On
is
your
the
phone?
best excuse for that. Is Josh? That's awesome. Yes, yeah. So like, imagine like if we gave the sort of secondary market that makes it engaging, makes our I mean, some of the projects already have. What's the one that the breeded cats? I think it was the
Crypto Kitties.
No, not crypto.
Axie.
Yes,
Axie? Okay,
Axie
got
Infinity. Axie Infinity. Look at the engagement turned into that. Like, it's the number one. It's made more than any single project ever, and that is because of that participation, that engagement, in all the different ways. Even in the different ways that we played it and it played us and that kind of thing, it continued and self-perpetuated, and that is the goal.
So I agree with your general point,
Go
but
on,
not
Josh.
necessarily about Axie. Axie was working because at the height of the market in the Philippines, you could earn a living playing it. And then the market dropped, and Axie got suddenly a lot less popular because you could no longer do it. But that said, the word, and again, I came in late because I was playing video games, so maybe you guys already covered this, but the word community is a big one because I think, when you're talking about loyalty is very much something that we're used to talking about. I mean, airlines have been giving loyalty points forever, but what I see developing with a lot of the use cases is almost like tribalism. There's an element of mixed uses on a particular NFT. It's one of the beautiful things about NFTs is an NFT, unlike many things, can be more than one thing at a time. So you've got your discount, but it also allows you entrance to particular events, or it allows you entrance to an AMA.
So you're telling me that NFTs are non-binary too? I love
Isn't that
them.
amazing?
I love them.
Well, I'm equal opportunity, so yes.
All right, so Josh, you just got here, so you want to tell us a little about yourself, by the way?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm Josh Lawler, and I play video games. No, I'm an attorney at the law firm Lawler. I'm a partner. I'm the head of our new technology department. I've been in the distributed ledger tech space for, I don't know, since 2011 or so a while, and represent all kinds of different projects, fungible tokens, non-fungible, CeFi, DeFi, and everything in between. And I'm writing a book, I'll plug, called Surviving the Migration on NFTs, and particularly from a legal angle, with kind of a heavy dose of the law doesn't really function, and candidly the subtitle should be the shit you shouldn't fuck up before you see somebody like me.
So the subtitle is the shit you shouldn't fuck up before you see somebody like me?
Unofficial. Working
Got it.
subtitle.
All right, working subtitle. And so to your point, what you were saying about, like, go on, please.
Oh, about the book or about what?
Tell us about your childhood. No, about the subject we were talking about here.
Sure.
Remember you were playing video games and you showed up for the talk we had? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that one.
Okay, right. So, all right, so community and tribalism. If you look at what's going on with a lot of the PFPs that have come out, what you're going to start seeing and are seeing in some of our clients is that, like, the various metaverse projects that are disconnected are starting to work deals with those PFP projects that allow people to be, their avatar as that PFP within interoperable metaverses, which is kind of what we all kind of want to get to as far as the actual metaverse, as opposed to the websites that call themselves metaverses, is kind of the interoperability. That leads to kind of a form of tribalism where, you've got, if you've got 10,000 generative, whatevers, you're going to have, hey, we're the guys in LA who have that. We're the guys in New York. And suddenly, we all go on vacation together, and I I think pretty quickly we're going to have every high school and their mascot as its own like PFP generative that is its own identity that people have kind of on an ongoing basis.
Oh my God! Honestly, I've never thought about that, and that is a great idea. As much as I abhor high school as an experience, I was a Pinellas Park Patriot, and so like this is oh my gosh!
You should have just put video games.
I feel like I need to run from the stage and just like start developing an idea. That is a good idea.
You didn't pull out your phone and start patenting it already?
I plugged into GPT with it in my head. It's happening.
I mean, guys, and I can go off on my soapbox forever, but we are at a really interesting point in history. You can imagine that you were there the day the printing press was invented, and like the use case explosion that we have for paper now that there's movable type is like nothing next to what we're looking at in the next 3 to 5 years on the NFT paradigm.
I mean, that's a little hyperbolic.
It took me years to get to be able to say that. Here's why, if you want me to kind of elaborate.
Oh, man, like I'm ready for it, Josh.
Okay, so here's the thing. You've got this piece of executed code off of a smart contract, which may or may not be open depending on ordinals are now closed smart contracts, which is a really interesting use case too. But it can index to anything or any part of anything. The NFT is not its asset. That's like really important for people to understand. The NFT is like a piece of paper, and a piece of paper can be what's on your lap now. It can be a book. It can be a share of stock. It can be a piece of toilet paper. NFTs are. This is not a piece of toilet paper. NFTs indexing toilet paper wouldn't work very well, but there's a lot of other good use cases. And it can be more than one thing at a time. And it can move with ridiculous velocity across borders in ways that existing law and commerce haven't contemplated and need to be reworked. And I used to give an example of like why are airline tickets not indexed by NFTs? We're being.
I think we're okay. Like I looked at the schedule and I just made sure that. Yeah, I mean, like it's pretty good. Is it okay with everybody to keep on going for a minute?
You guys want to keep going?
I meant to come earlier. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So anyways, example I was giving is like why are airline tickets not NFTs, and why should I be beholden to Delta or whoever if I need to change my flight? Why can't I have that on a market? And that seems like a really good idea. And the airline, of course, gets the benefit of a secondary sale royalty if I happen to change. So they kind of like that idea and create a marketplace. Requires some level of regulation, still have to KYC before boarding the plane, and probably some kind of controls on things like not buying every airline ticket to the Super Bowl city a year in advance. And it's a really good idea, and lo and behold, there's an airline in Argentina that just announced that, and it's happening. And I can easily see Spirit and JetBlue at the bottom of the market starting that out and having it crawl up the scheme into the major airlines. That's just one example, and like, what would that do in terms of commerce in general?
Cool. That's great. Nuno,
they liked it in the next room.
That was resonant. It was a resonant summary. Yes.
Yeah, and that ties with the rewards that you're talking about on airlines. There's definitely an ecosystem that can be created. I think what I was pushing is just to play the other side, is how can we convince brands to onboard? Like the low tier, I can see that. I can see that as a first use case. But
enroll, not convince. Enroll.
Enroll. Sorry.
Yes.
Need to use consumer friendly.
Customer.
Customer friendly.
Member friendly.
Community member. So let me give you another thing that I think that has a high potential. With the concept of prediction markets, so basically things that exist today like Polymarket, like you can bet on outcomes on things that happen, which pretty much you can do in betting platforms too. So who's going to be the president of the US, X candidate, Y candidate, you can vote, you can put it on the contract. I mean, it just works on a blockchain.
Is GPT-6 one of the options?
No, not yet. Maybe GPT-8. But basically applying this concept into decision making, which is something that is already being thought to governments and forms of government politics, but applying that in companies actually. So say that a certain company has to make decisions on projects, on decisions that they're going to make in business units and everything. And instead of relying on a management layer to do that, you do that across the company. So you basically pull the discussions on outcomes The employees can vote on what they think is the right outcome, and there's a compensation tied to it. There's like an
So
outcome.
you're talking about politicizing project management even more than it already is.
Not project management,
Provocative.
decision making. Decision making. I think there's something, and now think about a local municipality or a county or a state. There's a lot of decisions that are done for people that you picked to represent you, which is fine. I mean, that's the model, but it's highly inefficient. You're voting on a person, not an idea. You're voting on a means, not an outcome. And today we have the digital infrastructure to push these decisions to people. What we never had was incentivization. We never had ways to reward you to be incentivized to make decisions. A lot of people don't vote because you think it's inconsequential to vote. I mean, you go there and nothing changes. But if you vote on outcomes and there's a financial reward for that, you can have 200,000 people voting on if you need a bridge or not, if you need a highway or not. And the same thing in companies. And if you reward that with currency of the state, Miami coin or the own organization, the employees are also rewarded by equity, which make them shareholders. So I think there's a potential to create like small use cases. I'm not saying like all of a sudden just move to prediction markets to do everything, but small use cases that we can start doing at large scale.
Don't walk it back. You have us terrified right now.
Don't walk it back. You may be my man crush here. This is fantastic. So let me run this by you as a thought. And I've been thinking about this one for a while. And
by the way, this is a real clock now.
Okay.
Cool. I just want
I'll try to get to the point.
Yeah, okay, cool.
All right. GitHub-style legislative creation by experts incentivized to participate for public vote.
Say it again.
Sure. You're familiar with GitHub?
Of course.
You guys know GitHub, right? Okay. Software repository. So coding and coding law are pretty darn similar. You can code a statute. So if you can imagine a world where instead of having legislatures that need to see experts to kind of learn what they're doing so they can craft law that maybe doesn't work and then voting on it themselves, you incentivize experts in a particular topic area to create statutes based on a GitHub-style architecture repository, which can then be put out for a popular vote rather than a legislative representative vote, thereby cutting out, say, lobbying groups, at least to some degree. So it's a thought.
And that could still go up for a
Which, by the way,
body to
again,
regulate.
South America has done something like this.
Yeah, that could still be controlled by a legal body.
Yes.
But
Yes,
of course,
I always look to South America for successful models of governance. Absolutely. Good point, Josh.
Have you looked at ours lately?
good point.
All right, so Eddie,
I'm totally staying away from that conversation. It's really nice
Smart.
you guys are talking. What about that customer?
So about those airline loyalty points, right?
Smart. Sorry, guys, it got political.
Yeah, that's one of those rules. Like you don't do that at family dinners or on stage.
Or NFT.NYC.
no, I don't, no.
That's why I started with organizations, That's why I started with
I don't know. I think the crowd liked it.
I mean, I hope.
I do love the idea of meritocracy, though, and actually getting back to the way it should work. So, old school Apache guy.
We all have, these are all terrific ideas. I think the best value that has been contributed by this conversation is it has sparked other ideas with the people who have been here and present, got to share in this conversation, that everybody here can find a place where they connect with what we've talked about and apply the models that you've shown us today to whatever it is we're working on. So I'd like to say thank you to our guests, and thank you for all the listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.